Hello, and welcome to Mansion Interviews, a podcast created to improve your English, while at the same time giving me an excuse to talk to interesting people. In this episode, we talk to Alex of Verbling.com. Regular listeners of the podcast I do with Reza called Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig will know that we've been looking at ways in which you can practice your speaking online. Many of you have said how much you would like to speak English with a native speaker and practice in a community of English students. We may have the answer for you here. I spoke to Alex of Verbling.com and he explained how you can benefit from Verbling and improve not only your speaking but all aspects of your English. So here's Alex with more details. You can improve your listening with comprehension questions and find some help with difficult words from this interview at inglespodcast.com/Alex. Alex, thank you so much for being on Mansion Interviews. And the first thing I'd like to ask you is, because I'm an English teacher and I teach here in Valencia at the British Council and I teach online for a website. And I hear the same thing over and over again from our students. And that's how can they improve their speaking? How can our students practice their English? So could you tell us how Verbling can help them do that?
Yes, well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be, part of this, and it's always great to hear, or to be a part of something that helps students learn a new language. In general, Verbling's mission started from this idea that the best way someone could learn a new language is just through immersion. And immersion basically means that you put yourself in a situation where you're surrounding yourself in another culture and in another language. And it's all about listening, talking, reading, and using all five senses that you have in order to learn a new language. Verbling started with that concept. How can we take the idea of immersion and replicate it online using technology? And what Verbling offers is basically an environment where you could connect with other native-speaking teachers and with other students that are learning a variety of languages to have that ability to tap into this immersion experience from the convenience of your home or the convenience of the limitations of your surrounding, given that you might not live in a country that has a big English-speaking population.
Right. So how does the website work? So you've already said that you could practice your English with other students and also with teachers. So if a student goes to Verbling and they're new on the website and they don't know anything, could you talk us through the first steps that they would have to take in order to speak to somebody in English?
Yes. So we have three services. We're constantly evolving. We're a startup, meaning that as time goes by, we'll really figure out what is the perfect combination of tools that could help a English learner reach their language learning goals. But for now, we have three products. What we have is a free service, is verbling.com/community, where you could see all types of groups that are occurring live, and you could join them. And if there's any group that's English, and it's a beginner group or intermediate group or advanced group, you could feel free to join that group and interact with other language learners just like yourself. The paid products, there's two of them, have much more organization and have a specific topic and practice that's going to happen during those sessions. There is group classes, which is available 24/7. If you go to verbling.com/classes, you will see what classes are taking place currently, and you'll see the description, meaning what topic it's going to be about, and the level of difficulty. The last product that's available is verbling.com/tutoring, and tutoring is basically if you want to really take your language learning experience to a very, very high level, This is basically having a one-on-one session with a native speaking teacher. So not only do you get to really spend time for an hour talking and speaking to a person that's native to the English language, but you're also getting the instruction that a qualified teacher will provide. So based on what your resources, how much you want to delve into your language learning path, there's a variety of products that could help you.
Right. So let me just check with you that I've got this absolutely clear. So there are three basic stages or areas that the student could enter into. The first one is free. There's no charge, and it's a language learning community where students go into live groups and they speak together.
Correct.
Do they take like a level test? How do they know which group would be suitable for their level?
So, this is very much an experiment, that part. It's a free experiment in the sense that there's not a lot of rules. We're not trying to create a situation where there's a lot of rules, and perhaps later on we will after seeing what the results are. But in general, there's the groups are divided by level and then by language. So, if you have a sense that you're a beginner, you should click on the beginner groups and then see in there basically what the type of conversation, what kind of conversation is going on. If you're looking for something a little more difficult, you should look for intermediate and so on in advanced. There isn't necessarily an authority figure that basically says like, oh, this is not intermediate level or this is not advanced. So it really is a little bit of a trial and error experience, but that's how life is. So it's very much a free experience that has a lot of variations in terms of what kind of conversation is taking place.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. So, and the second level is, did you say it was more like a guided group where there is a native speaker of the language that you're practicing?
So yes, it's a native speaking teacher. So yes,
Right.
you'll have teachers from the UK or from the United States or other English speaking countries, and basically, yes, they would guide the conversation, and they make sure that every student that joins the class has a chance to speak, to ask questions, and to help carry on the topic that's taking place.
Okay, and that's paid. So you'd pay an amount to be in that group, and then you'd have the guidance of a native speaker.
Correct. And we do this on two ways. You could either do a subscription level, which is very cost effective. That means that you pay a given amount per month, and then you have access to a number of classes per month. And then there is, you could buy tickets. So you could also just buy, if you want to only take a few classes, and you could just buy them one at a time. We offer both of those. We encourage people to get subscription because that way they commit and they also have more access whenever they want. But depending on your comfort zone.
Could you give the listeners an idea of how much it would cost in dollars to enter one of these groups?
Sure. So for access to 10 courses a month, it would cost 19 US dollars, which is about $2 a class, which it's very, very affordable if you consider what, how much usually a class in English would cost. And then there is the serious subscription is more of an unlimited experience if you're really aggressive about your language learning goals. And that is unlimited access, and that's for $45 a month. And if you want to pay, if you want to commit for 3 to 6 months, there's discounts that are applied.
Okay, that sounds very affordable. That's like less than the price of a cup of coffee, and you're in with the group, and you're in with a native speaker and practicing the language. That does sound a lot cheaper than the classes we offer here in Valencia. So the third option, as you said, would be like a one-to-one lesson with obviously more expensive, but a one-to-one lesson with a qualified teacher who's going to give you I would imagine, quite an organized course of language learning.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. Personally, and on my side, when I take the private tutoring lessons, it's really just a whole other level of learning because they can cater the lesson based on what you're experiencing, what areas that you're having difficulty with, and if you really commit to several classes, once a week or twice a week with the same tutor, you really could go on a path that will be very effective to improving your confidence in speaking a new language. I'm learning Spanish, for example, so it's very convenient, and yeah. I think that's if you're willing to put the investment, it's the best experience online in terms of effectiveness.
So you're learning Spanish with Verbling at the moment.
Yes, I am.
How's it going?
It's going well. I'm learning with an Argentinian teacher, and they use vos as the to form. So that's a new experience. I learned a little bit of Spanish in high school. I learned using the to instead, but now I'm learning how to use vos. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that gets confusing, the to and the usted or the vos. Have you ever been to Spain?
I have been to Spain, and I know that you guys use vosotros and vale, a lot of vale. Everything is vale in Spain.
Everything's valid except when it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think pretty much what our listeners will be very keen to do is to dive in and try the free version first to see how they like the platform. Would they connect with Skype? Is that how it works?
So I'll explain a little bit more on what I think is the best way to try the platform. So we use Google Hangouts, but as I mentioned, we're a young company. We're going to create our own proprietary technology. That means we're going to have our own homemade technology that we will use for video conferencing. In general, what I would encourage a new user, if you're coming from Spain or from another, European country, I would suggest to try. We offer a free tutoring lesson, so it's a half an hour lesson instead of a 1 hour lesson. But nonetheless, it's a great experience to really see what it's like to connect with a professional native speaker. So yeah, if you create an account, you will be offered a free trial lesson, and I encourage everyone to try it out. It's free, and it's also the best way to really get to know Verbling. The community section, which I talked about earlier, it's a free product. It's correct, but it depends on what you're looking for. If you really want to jump and get aggressive on your language learning skills, it really is good to check out our paid products, because that's where you really see great return on your efforts.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking now. I logged in before. I noticed you could log in with Facebook or Google Plus, and you go right into a page where I can see now in front of me. I think it's 51 teachers of Spanish who are offering like a free lesson to try the platform. So I could dive in with one of these teachers and get an idea of how the platform works. So I'm assuming it will be pretty similar in English, although probably with more teachers available. If a student were to dive in straight away, would they have a similar selection of English teachers to talk to, regardless of what hour of the day they're logging on?
That's a good question. There is a little bit of influx, but it's a big enough community where you will have options. So yes, there is variations, but there's never really a dead zone in terms of verbling, because it's.
So it probably wouldn't happen that somebody would log on and there wouldn't be anybody there. I mean, there'd probably be somebody in the community, or there'd be a teacher online that would give them a lesson.
That's correct. There is going to be probably a group class option, and the community is always live. So you'll have those two options 24 hours.
That sounds great, Alex. So I'll definitely be recommending this to our listeners to try out. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you think the users should know?
Well, one thing I want to point out is it's very good to get familiar with Verbling now. Also to keep a pulse on it. We just went through a big round of investing. We're part of an exciting Y Combinator family, which means that we're part of the Silicon Valley. We're in the West Coast of the United States, and we're constantly evolving. So I think that given that we're still very young, it's always good to check back and see what exciting new things we're working on, whether that is on the technology side, or whether it is how we hone down and improve the language learning experience. So if you go now and you feel like there's some things that you like, some things that you don't like, come back in 2 or 3 months and see how we evolve.
Right. I mean, you keep saying young, but I mean, I've been following these kind of platforms for a while now. I mean, when did Verbling get started? Because it seems to me one of the big gorillas in the room. I mean, I've heard of Verbling maybe over a year ago, and a lot of the teachers in Spain have been speaking about it as an exciting platform. So how long has it been online?
So it's been online since 2011, but the changes that have happened, we've very much changed the experience in the last year, and we're going to make even bigger changes this year. So it is I guess 4 years old or almost 4 years old. But if you think about what it is, where it's going to and the kind of product it's going to build, it's very much a new experience. It's about a year old in terms of what we're doing. Beforehand, we were all about instant connecting native speakers one-on-one, which was kind of it was just a different experience that we felt did not help people reach their goals as quickly as they should reach them. So we're constantly finding new paths and defining what would be the best immersion experience.
Right, I see. So you said just one more question. You said the platform was based on Google Hangouts. Does that provide the teacher with the opportunity of using some kind of PowerPoint slides or some kind of visual to go along with the verbal practice of the language? I'm just curious as a teacher to know how a teacher would use the platform to teach something.
That's a very good question. What I noticed is that teachers use the Google Hangouts for two primary reasons. There's the chat where they could constantly send words that they want students to review later. And then there's also the screen share option, which there they could show documents, videos, anything that they want that's on their screen. So that's used probably on a 50-50 basis. They'll be instructing you, and then they'll have the video camera on themselves, and then throughout the class, they will move then to screen share to show different grammar notes or other things they want to go over as they teach their class.
Right. Okay, that's great. As a teacher, if I were interested, because we do have teachers listening to our podcast and active on our website, as a teacher would be interested in getting involved in Verbling, how could they do that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So we have a page. It's verbling.com/teach, where they can send out their application. And it's a very, very simple application to send out. But the goal is to basically talk about, their skill sets, their experience, and to also show that they have, a native connection to the language, where it's a language where they've spoken since a young age, and that they have the pronunciation and the accent to really help a language student hone down those nuances. But yes, we accept applications always at verbling.com/teach, and it really is a great way as a supplementary source of teaching for all language teachers.
Well, that's great, Alex. I think you've pretty much given us all the information that I have down here. So apart from telling us again where students can go to find you, it's verbling.com, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and do you have a Facebook page, a Twitter account that you'd like the listeners to be aware of?
Yes, we also came out with a blog recently, which is it's verbling.com/articles. And in there, we basically aggregate. We have all of the different teachers in our community, and also thought leaders in the language learning space. Polyglots and other people write articles about how they believe, or all sorts of tips and tools on how people could reach their language learning goals. So that's a new initiative. We're trying to help aggregate more content that could be useful to people that are serious about learning. And aside from that, yes, we have a Facebook page where we share some of that content. If you go to Facebook and just search Verbling, you'll see our page. We already have 40,000 plus followers, so it is a lively community, and we like to post pretty often. So it's a great way to read our content, to learn about us, and to just engage with Verbling and what we're doing.
That's cool. That's fantastic. Well, listen, Alex, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you talking to us, and I'll be telling our students to go along and check out Verbling and start practicing their English.
Sounds good. Thanks, Craig. And if you guys have any, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out.
Great. Thanks very much. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
A huge thank you to Alex for spending time with us. You can check out all of Verbling's services at verbling.com. And thank you to you for listening to this Mansion interview. You can find more podcasts to improve your English at inglespodcast.com. And you can also study English free at mansioningles.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes and give us some stars and maybe a short review so that more people can find our podcasts.